So are you a single Black woman thinking about moving abroad and wanting to know what the dating scene is like? If you want to know the answer to that question or anything else, I have an amazing woman joining me, Stephanie Perry. I call her the Oprah of Black moving abroad. If you haven't come across her, please definitely check her out at Vicarious. But that's enough of an introduction for me. Stephanie, you've appeared in Essence, Black Enterprise, TripAdvisor. But how would you describe yourself?
I am a year-round house sitter, and I help other Black women take a sabbatical or move abroad on a budget or become a digital nomad on a budget, including by helping them get started with house sitting.
Okay.
I like the idea of I'm opposed to work. Let me tell you some things I don't like. Okay. I don't like the idea that we use up all of our good years working and then try to hold on and start living after we get 65. I don't like that Black women have the responsibility of being the burden bearer in our relationships and in our jobs and in our families. I don't like those things. I like ease, and I am hoping to help even more Black women embrace ease in their lives, whatever that looks like.
That is awesome. I am here for all of that. And the whole concept of like the great resignation, anti-work, like I think that should be open to so many more Black women, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Black women have done a lot to prepare themselves for this moment, right? Black women we have educated ourselves, we have made connections and networked out in the world. We've succeeded and exceeded with all of the chips stacked against us, right? But what that means is we can walk away now. We've done the work. We've done the things that we need to do. A lot of Black women have prepared themselves financially for this moment. It's time to go, right? Quit that job. It's time. We don't need jobs. we don't need jobs to live.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for sure, we will talk about the dating element because, you know, in terms of living a happy life, yes, you can be in an amazing location. Yes, you can have the good income, but it is nice to have a nice man or woman to share that with. So for sure, Stephanie, I know that your research skills are amazing. So some people might want to take notes as to what they should be researching, but I can see a lovely palm swaying behind in the background. I can see you dabbing yourself. Where in the world are you?
I'm sweating. It's February and I'm in the Caribbean. I also don't believe in wintertime. I don't think we need to experience winter weather. And I no longer experience winter weather. I'm in Curacao, which is in the Dutch ABC Islands, down by Aruba. I'm down south. And man, I just broke out into a sweat when we started. So I'm gonna be wiping and it's okay, it's all right, but it's beautiful. And I'm happy to be here and not in Dover, Delaware, where they've had, I think 5 or 6 snows since I left on Christmas, right? Not even that long ago. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one sweating because it's normally me wiping away. So in addition to house sitting, which is something that you've been doing for a number of years, you also have started this movement which is all about encouraging Black women to step into their power and move abroad. And you've spoken to folks from all over the place, and we're going to delve into your research strategies. But I'm really curious, like, why did you choose the Caribbean and why Curacao in particular?
So since 2015, I've pretty much just bopped around, right? I've bopped around the globe and not had a home base, except for when I go back to my parents in Delaware. And I'm starting to feel like I want to have a home base, even if it's not a place I'm going to stay for 12 months out of the year, at least a place where I can know that this is where my stuff is. Like, it's been a long time since I've had stuff. I haven't been able to, you see a painting, I don't buy a painting because so truth is I do buy paintings and I just have them rolled up in scrolls in a closet in my parents' house, right? You see stuff, you think, oh, that's cute, I would like to have that. So I'm looking now for a place to create a home base. So I looked at my list of priorities, and you helped introduce me to a new priority that I thought I could not get, right? So cost of living factored into it, weather, right? I don't want to experience winter weather, that factored into it. Food, right? Do I enjoy the food in a place? Are there tall men? I'm 5'9", right? How tall are the men in a place? Also, you told me this, you taught me this, right? You can move to a Black country without moving to Africa. So I need to move to a place where I can give back to my parents in Delaware in a reasonable amount of time. So all of that led me to inspect or like check out the Caribbean. So I did some Googles and some looking around, and I found out that there are places in the Caribbean where you can live on a reasonable amount of money on a decent budget. I thought that to move to the Caribbean, you had to be balling out, right? Only jet setters live in the Caribbean, right? Only people with trust funds and whatever. But I found out, I did some research thanks to you, and I found out that there are like places in the Caribbean where you can live on a regular person's budget. So Curacao rose to the top of my list with those priorities, right? How convenient is a flight to New York? How the cost of living for the Caribbean, the Curacao has a relatively low cost of living. Seriously, tall men, right? Seriously, there are tall men here. I looked at the average heights of men in different places. Like, do I want to eat here? Is this a place where I can stay? And when you're talking about the Caribbean, you also have to talk about hurricanes, and Curacao is so far south that we don't get hurt, or they don't get hurricanes down here. So all of those things are why I'm here for the winter, and I'm considering it for a place where I will have a place, right? For a place where I have a home base where I can continue to travel more, continue to house sit around, but come back to maybe here.
Awesome. I love that. And we definitely want to delve more into like what looking like ease, what living with ease looks like, and what are the hurdles that we might need to get over in our own minds that prevent us from getting there. But it's Valentine's Day. Let's not make the ladies wait any longer. Tell me more about how you research like an ideal destination in terms of the caliber, the height, the whatever of men, because I was listening to your live on Saturday, and I'll put the link in here, but you went into you had some really good, like deep research. You knew the divorce rate and like the religiousness, like, are they so Catholic, they're never going to get divorced? I'm like, wow, you're serious about this. So for women who are just like, yeah, that looks nice on Instagram, I'm going to go there. How do we like properly prepare? How do we properly do our research so that you know what you're likely to encounter?
So this thing is a priority to me, right? I'm 47, not every woman who's 47 wants to be bothered with dating or bothered with men. Part of embracing more ease in your life really sometimes is no longer having a male partner, because male partners tend to give women more work, not less work, right? That's just reality. So part of embracing ease for a lot of women is not doing this kind of thing. But for me, part of embracing ease is trying to find a man with a yacht who can give me the life that I deserve, right? So what I really did was I looked at average height for different. So first I started with cost of living, right? There's a cost of living barrier, not barrier, but like line. There's a line where going to a place is not going to be worth it for me if it's more out of my budget, right? I start with budget. Some people start with other things, but so I started with budget, and then I looked seriously at what is the average height for men in a place and what is the divorce rate. I just Googled those things, right? And Google told me this, because Curacao was a Dutch island. They have Dutch men. Dutch people are I think they're the tallest people in the world, right? So the Dutch men are tall. The Black Curaçaoans, Black people in Curacao are tall, and there are indigenous Mexican people, right? Not indigenous Mexican people. I just left Mexico, I'm sorry. There are indigenous people from like South America, not necessarily tall. So I just looked around, right? Some of the countries at the top of my list, Portugal, Turkey, Curacao, also happen to be places that have taller men and that have a pretty high divorce rate. At 47, I feel like my best shot is a divorcee. Divorcee, is that what you call them? I feel like that's my best shot. Some women, when they hear a high divorce rate, they're like, oh, I wouldn't be interested in those men, right? Those women are not thinking like I'm thinking, right? They're thinking about what happens once you get married. I'm not too concerned with once I get married. If he's got a yacht and we get divorced, maybe I get half a yacht, right? So mostly I want to know, are they available? Are they tall? Are they available? Is there a likelihood that I'll find someone with yacht money? Right? Like, these are questions that I have in my life. And I feel like I can put myself in a position where I can be more likely to find this, right? Be more likely to win. One of my home base ideas was Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Because they have a remote worker program where you can get $10,000. Americans, I don't know if you have to be American, honestly, but remote workers can get $10,000 to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? So $10,000 would be nice. That would probably cover my apartment in Tulsa for a year and I could still travel. But are there available men? Are there available men who are into women who look like me? No. So I'd cross that off the list quickly. It was easy to say no to that $10,000. So that's how I decided on these things. I just Googled them, like seriously, I just Googled them.
I love that. And I think that's the thing, like when you are taking that step to move abroad, in some ways you are at a point where you can redesign your life. And why not like call into manifest what it is that you want? Like I want a tall man, cool. I'm going to do the research to make sure that I go to a place where that's a possibility. And I love the yacht thing. And I think the cool thing about the Caribbean is that you realize that like yacht money isn't necessarily crazy money. Like quite often it's easier to get around by boat. It's easier than like jet setting. So many people do have boats. So yeah, more power to you. When you find him, can I come and hang out with you for the weekend? Because I don't have a yacht.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yachts for everyone. Yes. Yeah. So I don't think that, so one thing that we do, I think, as Black women is that we temper our wants. We say, we want something, but we say we want something less or something smaller. Listen, we deserve. I'm gonna say I want a yacht. Maybe I'll at least partner with a man who has, the means to give me, a week on a yacht, not a year on a yacht, right? But I don't see a problem with saying out loud what you want. I've had really serious times when I needed help and said the words, I need help, and help was right there. So I think that it's easy for us to not say the things that we want out loud because people tell us, keep it close to you, keep it a secret, don't share what you really want in life. But I think part of that comes from feeling like we don't deserve it. So I'm saying what I want because I deserve it, you deserve it, we deserve it. I'm not exceptional. I'm not an exception. I'm a woman. And I think that we deserve to have the things in life that we want. And we can say that we want these things out loud, and then we can take steps to improve our odds, right? I don't know the direct steps to a yacht, right? I think I do, but I don't know, right? So I'm going to do what I can to improve my odds to have the things that I want. But like even in smaller things, even with like not experiencing winter weather, I don't want to shovel snow ever again. I don't want to. I used to have to shovel snow to get to work. Then I'd have to clean off my car after work. I worked night shift, and then I would have to shovel my driveway sometimes before I could pull into my driveway, park my car in the street, shovel my driveway just so I could park it. I'm not doing that anymore. So I've set up a life where I don't have to do those things. We spend a lot of time bending into contorting ourselves, right? I'm done contorting myself. Contort the dream, right? I'm not contorting myself anymore to something that I didn't even ask for. I didn't even ask for winter weather, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so you were in Mexico for a bit. And maybe even more generally, like how do you, when you're new to a city, when you're new to an area, you don't necessarily know people, you don't know the best hangout spots. And if like meeting guys or girls is your thing, like how do you go about it? Like is safety ever an issue? Like how do you even know where to start? Because I'm useless at dating anyhow, like even in another country. So I'm like super curious as to how to navigate. I mean, not that I need to, my guy is in the back, but if the need was ever to arise, what does that look like?
So dating apps get a bad rap, but they're different in different countries. Even app by app, there's a big difference in different countries on what you'll experience. So dating apps are a really good way to start, right? Pull it up, see what happens. The other thing is that I'm in some Facebook groups for travel and for travelers. And sometimes people just shout out, hey, I'm in this city. Do you want to meet up? Hey, I'm in this city. I see you're here. I'm here. Do you want to get together? Sometimes it's just as easy as like letting someone know that you're in a place, and other people, other travelers and other expats in particular are really easy to meet with because they're in the same places, they're in the same groups, they go to the same events. So if you're looking at people who are also travelers and expats, that's simple, right? It's really easy to meet them while you're traveling, especially because even though I house sit, sometimes I stay in hostels, which is going to sound crazy to some people, but sometimes before COVID, right? I stayed in dorm rooms and hostels and in places where you're going to meet people. Like there's no chance that you're not going to meet people. And I date men. Some of these people are men, right? Sometimes you're going to just be at a hostel at a breakfast table and someone is going to say, do you want to go on this day tour with me? Or do you want to go to drinks? Do you want to have drinks tonight, right? So that it's pretty, when you put yourself in a place where people are more naturally likely to holler at you, you get hollered at. So between dating apps and like groups, being in groups on the internet, like Facebook groups, and staying in hostels, it's been pretty easy to meet people, just not a man with a yacht yet.
And so this is a clear no, because I'm imagining the number of yachts in that country are going to be small, perhaps. But what about Brazil? Like Brazil seems like an amazing place for meeting guys. Did they not meet the criteria because they didn't have yachts, or like what was?
Brazil. So in Brazil, I was in Brazil as just a vacation, not as a digital nomad, right? So I was there for 6 days. So that was different. I had to there were things on my list I wanted to see and do, and I didn't have time for looking for someone to go have drinks with, didn't have time for Tinder, right? Moving slowly, because I work from my computer, moving slowly means that there's more time for Tinder, more time for just trying, let's try and see. Right here, I'm gonna go to a co-working. There are 3 co-working places on this little island. The island is only 40 miles long, 38 miles long. There are 3 co-working places. So I'm gonna go to a co-working place for a few days and see how that works out, see who I can meet there. Yeah, but Brazil was too fast. I didn't get to spend enough time. I gotta go back. That's a good point. I gotta go back to Brazil and see.
I might get permission to come do some research with you, because that sounds like fun.
I agree. Before we go, we'll need to do our Googles, right? How tall are they? How divorced are they?
It's pretty Catholic, so maybe that might be tricky. But yeah, worth exploring anyhow, I think.
I think so. That's the problem with Mexico. They don't get divorced. They get married very young. They don't get divorced, right? So I have some friends who live in Mexico, Rashida, Adelia, they live in Mexico City, but I don't know, right? The numbers tell me to tell them to try a different country, try someplace else.
Right. Yeah. And so going back to what you were talking about, ease, of which love is a part of that holistic, just being in flow and things being as you want them to be. One of the things I found really interesting reading through your Essence interview was when you realized that you didn't want to be in the States, that you wanted to be elsewhere, and you had this idea that house sitting could be the way out. There was that fear of but I'm a Black woman. Do folks really want a Black woman in their house? Can you talk through how you work through that fear and what the benefits of other women working through the stuff? I mean, it's not just in our heads, it is a reality. Racism is a structural fact. But how do we navigate the reality and the opportunity that is still there, even if we sort of push through it all?
It is a fact, but I was forgetting. So it is a fact. But I was forgetting something important. A person who's not going to want a Black woman to house sit for them is not going to have me house sit for them. They're not going to bother to read my application. They're not going to bother to interview me, right? I won't have to deal with them. They're going to self-deselect, right? And the people when I apply to house sit for them, the people who are like, yes, I would love to have you house sit for me, are people who are not going to be people who don't want to deal with Black women and don't want, And so I was forgetting that when I was so afraid. I paid for my membership. Trusted House Sitters is a platform where clients and house sitters meet, right? And I paid for my membership and refused to apply for a house sit. I saw some that I liked and I wouldn't hit the enter button on the application because and in the US, we're still very segregated there, and so I just was like, I don't even know if it's going to work for me. And I forgot that, right? I don't have to decide if they're racist or not. They're going to tell me, they're going to let me know. And so my first houses were in the US and primarily East Coast US. But then I started house sitting around the world. And then I remembered that things are different in different places. And I remember that as a Black woman, I've never been treated as poorly in any place I've been as I've been treated in my own home state. So the best opportunity for me to be treated well and to not have to deal with racist actions towards me, direct racism, right, is to just leave the country, whether I'm house sitting or not. Yeah, but it's funny, I was looking back, I was really afraid to apply for house sits. A woman had to do it for me. Instead of applying for a house sit, she reached out to me. She had a Disney World emergency. Her family decided to go to Disney World at the last minute, and she went, her parents and nieces and nephews, and she decided she wanted to go too. So she reached out to me. I see you're already here in town. Can you house sit for me? And so that was a good way for me to get eased into it without having to be so afraid after hitting the enter button, right? She'd already solicited me. But yeah, I think that house sitting is the fear that I had about being a Black house sitter, unnecessary, because if they don't want me, they're not even going to talk to me. I'm not going to have to deal with it, right? Because the fear that you have isn't that people are going to ignore you, it's that people will mistreat you. I think that mistreatment is the real fear. But I don't get to the point where they mistreat me because they don't even talk to me, right? They don't answer my emails, they don't reply to my messages, so I don't have to worry too much about it.
Right. And I guess I've spoken to you so many times and I'm so aware of what you do, but should we just explain what a house sitting is for anyone who doesn't know?
Sure. House sitting is staying in people's homes and taking care of their homes and usually their pets while they're away. You get free accommodation for house sitting, right? So most from these house sits that I get through the platform, Trusted House Sitters, are unpaid, but I get free accommodation. So if they're gone for 6 weeks on their vacation, I get free accommodation in their home for 6 weeks. The UK is a wonderful place to house sit. It's like House Sitter Central. In the UK, people travel for good amounts of time. You guys must have more pets per capita than any place. Seriously, everyone in the UK seems to have a pet. So it's a wonderful place to get house sits if you want to spend some time there. But yeah, it's just free. It's just you take care of their responsibilities while they're gone so they can enjoy their trip. And while you're there, you enjoy your time.
Awesome, awesome. And so you describe yourself as a woman who, on Instagram at least, is about helping Black women find ease or live with ease. And I'd love to know for you, what does living with ease look like for you? And has it been an adjustment to get to that point?
No, it's not been an adjustment. This is my life. This is my way of life. I've never been the person who was into struggle, right? I've never been the person who was into struggle, and I would always weigh things like, how is this worth the struggle? Is this worth the effort? Is it worth what's going to happen, right? Like when I was kind of young, I was a credit analyst, and I talked on the phone I worked for Barclays Bank, and we had an affinity program with doctors and nurses and different professions. So I talked to a lot of doctors on the phone, and I found out a lot of doctors at the end of their pay period had as much money left over as I had, right? So I was like, scratch that career possibility off the list, right? I saw, and so I've always been a person who was like, is this worth the struggle? Is it worth the effort that I'm going to have to put into it? That's always been my way, but I have friends and family who are Black women who feel like we have to walk towards the struggle because that is how you become taken seriously. That is how you there's some sort of credentials that you get for doing the hard thing the hard way. But no, ease has always been it's always been my thing. I think that when I talk about it, other women listen or it catches other people's attention because it's like a new conversation. Because seriously, our mission, we're told our mission in life is to make things easier for other people, not to look for ease for ourselves. So in my day, ease looks like I drop my laundry off and I pick my laundry up. right? Ease for me looks like yes to the housekeeper coming in and doing the housekeeping, I got dirty dishes in the sink. She's supposed to come today or tomorrow. Now, right now I'm just in an Airbnb, but even like as a house sitter, I love house sits with housekeepers. Yes, she's coming. Great. I'm doing as little as possible. I don't have to do the most. I don't have to prove that I'm a good person. Sometimes we think, if I have to prove I'm a good person by doing extra things. I really don't feel that way. But that's what it looks like for me in most of my day, right? I house sit for people, so I don't pay for a place to stay. So I don't work very much. As a person who coaches women to become house sitters, I don't work all that much because I don't have to, the biggest expense in life I have cut out. Yeah, so that's what ease looks like for me, looking at the things that I'm doing and deciding, am I doing these things because I really want to, or because this is what people say you should do? And then deciding, is there somebody else? Either can I just not do it at all, or can somebody else do it? Can I pass it off to somebody else?
I love that. And so for the women who are watching, and maybe even the men who are like, I want this, I need ease, like I'm ready for it. And as you say, like I've done all the prep work, I have the money, but I'm just not there yet. Like, what have you found are like the top 3, or even maybe just the top 1 thing that is going to help people take that leap?
I think, like, seriously, just give yourself an extended period of time where you don't work. Right? Like that's the introduction, that's the gateway drug, right? Work is the place where we have the most unease or dis-ease, right? It's the place where a lot of us have the most, it's probably the most toxic environment we have to subject ourselves to. It's probably the place that is sucking up most of our energy and drying up other parts of our lives. So seriously, can you find a significant amount of time where you don't work? Significant is relative, but like for Americans, a month is a significant amount of time where you don't work. Like that is significant, right? I know plenty of people who have never gone a month without working. So can you give yourself that will reshift your, it'll kind of like reset you. It'll give you like a reset where you'll be like, oh, here are the things in my life that I'm ignoring, that I no longer want to ignore. Here are the things that are in my life that I'm putting too much focus into. Yeah, start with a significant amount of time. Sorry, I'm outside. Start with a significant amount of time where you don't have to work, where you're not gonna work, and see if that doesn't change your idea on everything, right? Sometimes when people go from working to moving abroad without taking time to not work and to relax and do things, they think about recreating their current life in a new place. You probably see that all the time, right? People live in the UK, they want to move to Grenada, they talk to you, but they're trying to recreate their UK life in Grenada, right? Including things like home ownership and, things that can be or let's build a property. Let's like going into the most stressful type of situation you could possibly choose for yourself. But once you take a lot of time to not do things, right? Take a lot of time to not do things, you start to say, oh, maybe I am doing the most. Maybe I could do things a little bit simpler. I don't have to take on, instead of starting an entire business, maybe I could just find a remote job, right? What is the easiest possible way for me?
That's a really good question. What is the easiest option? Not the most complicated or the biggest, but yeah, keep it simple as the first step. And then if you want to, you can build.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I see it all the time. People just want to replicate what they already do. I'm like, no, you get to build from scratch. You get to build from scratch. You get to start your life from scratch. So start and try some things a different way. Try them a different way, because replicating what you had there is just going to give you the same burnout and the same exhaustion that you had there. It's not going to be helpful.
I feel like you're speaking directly to me, because I've literally made many of those mistakes. I'm just about to post a video about all the mistakes that I've made, and a lot of it is repeating what I did back home. But in a way, one of the things that I love about the Caribbean, because it is just so laid back, it kind of forces you to go slow. Like you can't hustle in 32-degree heat. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's hella hot, really, really hot. And people are just laid back. So that whole anti-work thing, like a lot of people are anti-work. And it's annoying when like you want a rotisserie chicken delivered to you in the middle of the night. But eventually you learn how to adapt and you figure, okay, what's essential, what isn't? And it's quite, detoxing. I think for sure, like there's a transitional phase when you move abroad. And that's, sometimes you just have to relax into that and accept that you don't know what it's going to look like at the end, but it's definitely going to be better than what you had before.
That's right. That's right. I learn every time I get to a place that I think a lot of things are urgent that are not urgent. It's not urgent. This is not happening today, probably not happening tomorrow, right? Even here, my hot water, well, he did take care of the hot water heater quickly. The hot water heater died while I was here. He did take care of it relatively quickly, but we're not talking 3 hours, right? So urgent is not in the vocabulary in a lot of places. And it's a really good lesson that we're living in fight or flight in our old lives. We're living in fight or flight all the time. That's not good for your body. It's not good for your mind. And it's really nice to come to a place where like, it's just chill. We're just gonna chill, okay? This will get taken care of when it gets taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stephanie, it's been awesome talking with you as always. If folks want to know more, like how can they connect to you? Where are the places to go? I know Saturday mornings, your lives are for sure like a lovely little community, well, huge community of women who hang out. Stephanie has close to 100,000 YouTube subscribers. If for any of you are thinking, oh, it's just a really niche thing, like no, like thousands of people are wanting to move.
That's right. Yes, I love my YouTube community, which you're a part of. I love it. Yeah, I can't believe we're done already. I just stopped sweating, right? Like I just stopped sweating and we're done already. Yeah, I love my YouTube community. My YouTube channel is Stephanie Perry. As you can tell, I'm not going to take time to come up with a name. Exodus Collective is a wonderful name. I would never have come up with something so awesome. So my YouTube channel is Stephanie Perry. I am I live stream most Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. To talk about these types of things with a community of Black women who are also moving in the same direction, right? Black women who are embracing more ease, who are embracing living their travel dreams, whether that's moving abroad or just bopping around for a while. It's a wonderful place. It's a wonderful place to hang out. I do want to also give you guys my new house sitter toolkit, all right? House sitting changed my life. So house sitting was my way to introduce myself to my new normal, right? The new Stephanie who didn't have to focus on work. House sitting was the gateway for me, right? Because I got the free accommodation and I didn't have to focus my life around a job. So the new house sitter toolkit just has some information for you on how to get started house sitting. So we'll link to that, Zoe?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely we will.
Okay.
Yeah, in the description, we'll put that there. Awesome. Well, Stephanie, I'm taking it as a personal win that you moved to the Caribbean. I was saying on Saturday, like the region is officially Stephanie Perry endorsed. I think, you should find a way to get some travel authorities to pay you for that because it's significant. Like Black women are like so overlooked as a market that's worth engaging. And I think as women, we deserve that. So yeah, I think it's awesome. I hope you stay here. I hope you find that yacht and the tour guide. But yeah, it's been brilliant connecting with you. And for those of you who can't wait for Stephanie's Saturday morning broadcast, there's also the Facebook group, right? The Exodus Summit, which is, yeah.
Yes, I run a virtual summit every year with Rashida Dow called Exodus Summit for Black women ready to take a sabbatical, ready to move abroad. And the Facebook group is exodussummit.com/community. Black women are welcome to join. Yeah, we seems like every day, but at least every week we get a new success story, a new person who has exited, right? Which is this is all we want for you. This is all Rashida and I want, it's all Zoe want. Earlier you said that I was I started a movement. I didn't start the movement, I just am in it. We're in it like you are. I didn't start this. Somebody introduced me to this. I'm glad. And now I'm just spreading the word, right? I'm just spreading the word. And yes, I'm here because of you. So thank you. I'm here in the Caribbean because of you, because I promise I didn't think about it. I just assumed it was too expensive. I don't know. I didn't think about it. This is why you talk your talk. Once you find your thing, you go out and talk about it because you don't know what it's going to do for somebody else. So thanks, Zoe. I appreciate you.
And I think you're being incredibly humble. I think you legitimize, people have these thoughts, but having someone like you talking about it legitimizes it. Like, it's okay to feel entitled to happiness. It's okay to feel entitled to ease. So yeah, keep doing what you do. It's been awesome. Everyone follow, subscribe, tune into what Stephanie does, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.